Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and Flambass has sent me another replay. I nearly saw this battle live on his Twitch channel. I actually had it up and running in the background, but I'd muted it and wasn't paying any attention when this battle actually happened because I was recording a video at the time. Just for a change, Flambass is not sailing a Tier 10. This is the Pan-Asian Tier 9 destroyer, the Chung Mu, not the Tier 10, the Yeuyang. Flambass used to really like the Yeuyang, but it got nerfed recently. The reload of the guns went from 3 seconds to 4 seconds, and it's also suffered a reload nerf on the torpedo tubes as well. So, rather than playing his beloved Yeuyang, Flambass decided, you know what, I'll have a go in the Chung Mu, the Tier 9. And it actually compares quite favourably to the Tier 10. For a start, it's a faster ship. It has the same number of torpedoes, but here at Tier 9 on the Chung Mu, they reload 50 seconds faster. And while the Chung Mu does have one less gun than the Yeuyang at Tier 10, they don't have no 4-second reload on them. They reload every 3.3 seconds. Oh, and as well as loading nearly a minute faster than the Yeuyang's torpedoes, the Chung Mu's torpedoes also do more damage, assuming you've got the Mark 16s unlocked. To be fair, they do have slightly less range, and they are slightly slower, but they're still pretty quick with a speed of 66 knots, and they still have a fairly decent range of 10.5 kilometers compared to the 13.5 kilometers on the Yeuyang. So the torpedoes are very good. Of course, they're deep water, so you can't hit other destroyers. But it's the rate of fire of these 127mm guns where you're really going to feel the difference between the Chung Mu at Tier 9 and the Yeuyang at Tier 10. Oh, hello Mr. Tashkent. I hear you're a bit of a gunboat. Challenge accepted. The Tashkent appears to have a bit of a think about it. At first he's, yeah, I am a gunboat. Yeah, oh shit, you're not the only one shooting at me. Decides, actually no, that's a bad idea, pops his smoke screen, and makes himself scarce, presumably around the side of the island over there. Also, presumably, he's dumped his torpedoes, because the Tashkent has an even shorter reload on its torpedoes than the Chung Mu does. That's when Player 2 enters the match, and doesn't appear to want to stick around much either. That's the British Tier 9, isn't it? The Jutland. I kind of like the Jutland, I've just unlocked it myself, although you really do need a 14-point captain for that and the daring at Tier 10, because the high explosive shells for their 113mm guns are pretty much just there for show. They only have, without the IFHE skill, 18mm of high explosive penetration. Somebody remind me how much plating Tier 8, 9 and 10 destroyers have? 19mm, yeah, that's right. They suffer from the same issue that the Japanese Kitakaze and Harugumo used to have with their 100mm guns, and the Akazuki at Tier 8, until Wargaming slapped a band-aid on the high explosive penetration of those shells. Oh, there's kill number 1. Don't worry, plenty more of those to come. Without that IFHE skill, the Jutland and the Daring, the only things they can pretty much damage with their high explosive shells are British cruisers, which only have 16mm of plating. So, if you're in the market to get yourself a Jutland or a Daring, and you don't have a 14-point captain but you do have a 10-point captain, then you have to choose between IFHE or Concealment Expert, which means you have to choose between being detected or doing reliable damage with high explosive. Oh hello, there's the Tashkent again. His engine's still out. Oh, it looks like he's going to live to get away again, and those are almost certainly his torpedoes. But yes, to be completely fair to the Jutland and the Daring, they do have very good penetration angles on their armour-piercing shells, so you can reliably damage at least enemy destroyers with your armour-piercing. But it's still armour-piercing, and if they're heavily angled, they're still going to bounce, and you can't damage them at all with your high explosive, unless you've got a 14-point captain. But enough about the Jutland and the Daring. Try to stay on topic, Jingles. This is about Flambass in the Chung Mu. He's pushed over to the other side of the cap circle now, after having successfully chased off both of the enemy destroyers. Put some fish in the water against the Rune. Yes, the torpedo tubes had reloaded already. Although it is a Rune, it does have that very good German hydroacoustic search, and if he's paying the slightest bit of attention, he knows that there was a destroyer over here. So he's probably running his Hydra. I'd be very surprised if the Rune falls victim at all to any of those torpedoes, but hey, you never know your luck. Meanwhile, the Tashkent clearly didn't learn his lesson the first 2 times. And there's victim number 2. Who's next? Who wants some of this? Oh look, player 2 has re-entered the match. It's the Jutland again. And he's firing high explosive. So he either didn't get the memo about the high explosive shells, or he's running IFHE. He's probably running IFHE. Then again, we're never really going to know because none of the shells that he fired hit. So we can't tell whether or not they were going to do any damage. And both he and the Rune are probably going to stay running away because of the pain train heading north through the cap circle in their general direction. Now, wait for it. Wait for it. Torpedoes reloaded. Yes, that is a quick reload. And appropriately timed too, because, oh look, there's a battleship. Actually, there's a battleship and a cruiser, both proceeding down a very narrow channel with limited space to either side to manoeuvre. Now, Flambass does something here that you or I probably wouldn't have done. The torpedoes are on the way. Neither of them know that he's here. Why bother shooting? Because that's just going to tell them, oh look, there's a destroyer over here, and they may manoeuvre to avoid the torpedoes. Well, the reason he actually did this was because he was reasonably confident that they wouldn't be able to get shots at him. And he popped the smoke in order to bait the Belfast's radar. And there it is. And there goes Nelson. And he wasn't expecting this. But there goes the Belfast too. That's why he popped the smoke and reversed behind the rocks and tried to force the Belfast to use his radar uselessly. He wasn't actually expecting to sink both of them, but I'm pretty sure he's quite happy with that result and will take it anyway. 4 ships sunk and only 88,000 damage done. Flambass, you dirty, filthy kill stealer, you're going to have to up your game. Alright, he said. Challenge accepted. Oh look, he thinks to himself while capping Bravo unopposed. That's a very nice collection of battleships you've got over there, enemy team, with almost all of their health intact. Be a real shame if something bad would happen to them. Well, he's not in any particular rush. He needs to stick around at least for the immediate future to complete the capture of Bravo, and they're not really going anywhere in a hurry, and there is a Tier 9 spotter plane circling over there, which you really probably don't want to get spotted by. That must be from the Musashi. The Missouri doesn't have a catapult aircraft. Oh look, the torpedoes are ready to go again, and any second now, there's his second capture. Well, it would be a shame not to use these torpedoes, really, wouldn't it? Especially since with the torpedoes that the rest of his team are launching against them, they're pretty much forced to continue sailing in a straight line to thread the needle between all of those torpedoes. Look at those targets. This is what we call a target-rich environment. You could pretty much sling torpedoes anywhere in the general direction of that lot and you're probably going to hit something. Oh look, there's a smoke screen down there. That must be the Yugumo. Of course these are deep water torpedoes, so there's no chance of getting a lucky bonus round destroyer kill with the torpedoes. Now you might be thinking, what the hell's he doing? He's giving his position away again, they're just going to dodge the torpedoes. Well, he's doing this for a couple of reasons. First, it's perfectly safe. None of those battleships have their guns pointing in this direction, although the secondaries are still able to fire. And that's why he pops his smoke screen, to deny the secondaries anything to shoot at. The main reason why he's firing at that Musashi was to set him on fire and force him to use his damage control to put the fire out, so that he wouldn't have the damage control if any of those torpedoes had hit. But none of the torpedoes did hit. So now he's trying to do the same thing on the Missouri. But this is a little strange, because 2 of the torpedoes hit, and they do cause flooding. And it's this salvo that also sets the Missouri on fire, which means the Missouri has not used his damage control. And it must have been available, because in the length of time we've seen him, he never took any fire or flooding damage. In fact, he's not even bothering to use his heel. Frankly, I think at this point he just gave up and bowed to the inevitable, which is all good, because that's now 152,000 damage, and Flambass's 5th kill for the Kraken Unleashed. Now, you or I might be happy with 5 kills and 152,000 damage, but you or I are not Flambass. He's got his eyes firmly set on that big fat Japanese ass of the Musashi over there, who's backpedaling furiously in order to try to avoid torpedoes fired from his front. And oh look, speaking of torpedoes, Flambasses are ready to go again. The second he has clearance, he fires one set of torpedoes, and oh look, the Yugamo has just appeared. Unloads the guns into the Yugamo. Now that he's got slightly better clearance around the headland of the island there, he unleashes the second set of torpedoes at the Musashi, and then gives the Yugamo his full attention. Now he's not the only one shooting at the Yugamo, and judging by the fact that they're armour piercing and the rate of fire, it must be the friendly Jutland, who does not have a 14-point captain and did receive the memo about the Jutland's high explosive shells. There's the kill on the Yugamo. There's a torpedo strike on the Musashi, which did cause flooding. There's a second torpedo strike on the Musashi, which did not cause flooding, which means the Musashi has almost certainly used his damage control because he was burning earlier. However, there's a fire on the Musashi, and there's nothing he can do about that. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is Flambass's 7th kill, to go with his 204,815 damage. And that is pretty much it for the rest of this match. He's going to do a couple thousand more damage against the enemy Alsace before his team reaches 1,000 points. They're at 919 points now. The enemy team are down to 32 points. They don't hold any of the caps. There's no way Flambass's team is ever going to lose this. But from the time that Flambass fired his first shot against that Tashkent in the cap circle to the end of this match when his team reaches 1,000 points, that's going to be 206,000 damage and 7 kills in under 10 minutes. I think it's fairly safe to say that you can keep the Yeuyang as far as Flambass is concerned. I think he's rather taken with the Chung Mu. And there's just time for a quick Jingles moment in chat. I don't know if you caught it there, as one of Flambass's teammates congratulates him on his 6 kills. Actually, Jingles, it's a little bit more than 6. So, yeah, well done to Flambass. Very entertaining match. Fun to watch. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I know Flambass did. And I'm pretty sure his Twitch audience did as well. And of course, plenty more of that where this one came from. Link down below in the video description to Flambass's Twitch TV channel. Hope you all enjoyed it. And as always, take care. And I'll catch you next time.